I remember the day clearly. It was a warm morning in eastern Congo. The sun was rising, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. Birds chirped their morning songs. The smell of my mother's cooking wafted through our small home. It was like any other day. I was 15, full of dreams and hope for the future. Our village was simple but peaceful. We didn't have much, but we had each other. Every morning I would walk to school with my friends. We'd laugh and joke along the dusty path. The teachers were strict but kind. They told us education was the key to a better life. After school, I'd help my father in our small vegetable garden. In the evenings, we'd gather around and share stories. Those were happy times. Little did I know that everything was about to change. War was coming. It started like any other day. I woke up early, had breakfast, and headed to school. But something felt different. There was tension in the air. Adults spoke in hushed tones. Fear lingered in their eyes. Still, I went about my day as usual. It wasn't until midday that everything changed. The sound of gunfire erupted in the distance. At first, we thought it was just a drill. But then we saw people running, screaming. Panic spread like wildfire. Our teacher told us to run home immediately. I sprinted as fast as I could. When I reached our village, chaos reigned. I searched frantically for my family, but in the pandemonium, I couldn't find them. The forest was dense and unforgiving. Branches whipped my face as I ran. Thorns tore at my clothes, but I didn't stop. Fear pushed me forward. The sounds of war faded, replaced by the eerie silence of the forest. Night fell and darkness enveloped me. Still, I pressed on. I had no plan, no destination. My only thought was to get as far away as possible, to survive. Hunger gnawed at my stomach, thirst parched my throat, but these discomforts paled in comparison to the terror that fueled my flight. I stumbled through the night, exhausted but unable to rest. Dawn broke, casting weak light through the canopy. I found a small stream and drank greedily. The water gave me strength to continue. After days of wandering, I stumbled upon a small town. It was a shock to see other people again. But relief quickly turned to fear. I was alone, a child in a world that had suddenly become very cruel. People looked at me with suspicion, some with pity, others with disdain. I was just another refugee, another victim of the war. I slept in alleys, hiding from both authorities and criminals. The streets were dangerous, especially for a child alone. I learned to be invisible, to blend in with the shadows, to scavenge for food in garbage bins. It was a harsh existence, but it was survival, and survival was all that mattered. The nights were the hardest. The streets were a brutal teacher. Every day was a struggle, a fight for food, for shelter, for safety. I learned to be quick, to spot opportunities, to grab what I could when I could. It wasn't a life I was proud of, but it was the only life available to me. Survival was the only goal. I slept in abandoned buildings, under bridges, in dark corners, always alert, always ready to run. The threat of violence was constant, from other street kids, from gangs, from adults who saw us as easy targets. I learned to defend myself, to use my small size to my advantage. It was on one particularly cold night that my life changed again. I was huddled in a doorway, trying to stay warm. A woman stopped and looked at me, not with the usual pity or disgust, but with genuine concern. She asked my name, my story. At first, I was wary. Street life had taught me to be cautious of strangers, but something in her eyes made me trust her. I told her everything, about the war, about losing my family, about life on the streets. She listened without judgment. When I finished, she did something unexpected. She offered me a home, a chance at a new life. Her name was Marie. She ran a small orphanage for children affected by the war. The orphanage was a haven. It wasn't luxurious, but it offered something priceless: stability, regular meals, a safe place to sleep, and most importantly, education. Marie enrolled me in a local school. At first, it was challenging. I was years behind my peers. The gaps in my education seemed insurmountable, but I was determined. I studied harder than I ever had before. Early mornings and late nights were spent poring over books, catching up on lost years. The teachers were patient and supportive. They understood my background and went out of their way to help. Slowly but surely, I began to close the gap. My love for learning, dormant during my time on the streets, reignited with a passion. Every new concept mastered was a victory. The years flew by. Each day brought new challenges, but also new triumphs. There were moments of doubt, of fear, times when the memories of war and street life threatened to overwhelm me. But I persevered. The support of Marie, my teachers, and my fellow orphans kept me going. Their belief in me strengthened my belief in myself. As graduation approached, I faced a new challenge. University seemed like an impossible dream. The costs were far beyond what Marie or the orphanage could afford, but I refused to give up. I applied for every scholarship I could find, wrote essays, sat for exams, did interviews. It was exhausting, but I was determined. Then, one day, a letter arrived. I had been awarded a full scholarship to university. The joy I felt in that moment was indescribable. It was more than just a scholarship, it was validation. University was a new world of opportunities. I chose to study education, inspired by the teachers who had changed my life. The coursework was challenging, but I thrived. Every class, every assignment brought me closer to my goal of becoming a teacher. I wanted to be for others what my teachers had been for me, a beacon of hope and guidance. During my studies, I volunteered at schools in underprivileged areas. I saw children facing challenges similar to what I had faced. It strengthened my resolve. I knew I could connect with these kids in a way others might not. I could show them that their circumstances didn't have to define their future. That education could be their path to a better life. Graduation from university was another milestone. As I received my teaching degree, I felt a sense of coming full circle. From a child fleeing war, to a street kid, to a qualified teacher. It was a journey I never could have imagined. But it was my journey. Teaching became more than just a job. It was a calling, a way to give back to the community that had given me a second chance. I started after-school programs for struggling students, organised fundraisers for school supplies, reached out to local businesses for support. Every small victory, every child helped, felt like a personal triumph. I never forgot Marie and the orphanage that had saved me. I volunteered there regularly, mentoring children who were where I had once been. Seeing the hope in their eyes, the determination to succeed despite their circumstances, was incredibly rewarding. It reminded me of my own journey and strengthened my commitment to making a difference. As my reputation grew, I was invited to speak at educational conferences. I shared my story and my experiences as a teacher. I advocated for better support for refugee children and those from disadvantaged backgrounds. It wasn't always easy to relive my past, but I knew my story could inspire change, could help others understand the challenges these children faced. Looking back on my journey from that terrified 15-year-old fleeing war to the educator I am today, I'm filled with a mix of emotions. There's sadness for the hardships endured, for the family lost, but there's also immense gratitude for the second chances, for the people who believed in me, for the opportunities I've had to make a difference. My story is one of survival, yes, but more than that, it's a story of hope, of the power of education to transform lives, of the resilience of the human spirit. I've learned that no matter how dark things seem, there's always hope, always a way forward. It might not be easy, it might not be clear, but it's there if you're willing to fight for it. To anyone facing seemingly insurmountable challenges, I say this: never give up. Your current situation does not define your future. With determination, hard work, and a little help, you can overcome anything. Believe in yourself. Seek out education.